I've never liked conflict, especially in romantic relationships. Every time a disagreement starts, I feel this urge to shut down or walk away. It's not that I don't care. I care too much, but I'm afraid of where arguments might lead. What if we say things we can't take back? What if the relationship starts falling apart just because of one bad fight? So I avoid it. I keep things to myself, hoping the problems will just go away on their own. But deep down, I know that avoiding conflict doesn't really solve anything. It just builds up tension inside me and creates distance between us. Wisdom: how to overcome the fear of facing conflicts in a relationship.
You fear conflict because you associate disagreements with the risk of losing peace, or even the relationship itself. Your intention is not to neglect problems, but to prevent them from escalating beyond what you can handle. So, whenever you sense a disagreement arising, you feel the urge to withdraw, remain silent, and avoid confrontation. You hope that by ignoring certain issues, they will resolve themselves. However, instead of disappearing, unresolved conflicts turn into invisible barriers, distancing you from those with whom you want to connect. The fear of facing conflicts does not protect your relationship. It only postpones tensions that will, sooner or later, find a way to surface. The solution is not to avoid difficulties, but to learn how to deal with them in a conscious and constructive way. If you wish to overcome this fear, here are 5 essential lessons you must understand. First lesson: avoiding conflict does not eliminate the problem. The absence of arguments does not mean harmony. Ignored problems do not disappear. They only accumulate until they become unbearable. Silence may seem like a solution in the short term, bringing a false sense of peace. But over time, it creates a gap between people. Unresolved issues generate silent frustrations that will eventually manifest, whether through daily irritations, emotional distance, or even the breakdown of the relationship. If something bothers you, addressing it does not create a problem. It gives the relationship the opportunity to grow. Open communication is an act of respect, both for yourself and for your relationship. Second lesson: well-managed conflicts strengthen the relationship. Conflict is not the enemy, but the way you handle it can be. A difficult conversation can serve as a bridge to understanding if conducted with respect, patience, and the intention of mutual growth. Avoiding discussions may seem easier at the moment, but it prevents you from truly knowing the other person and from being fully known yourself. Healthy relationships are not built on the absence of disagreements, but on the ability to resolve them without destroying the bond. When both partners learn to handle conflicts maturely, they create an environment where it is safe to express feelings and needs without fear of rejection or judgment. Third lesson: expressing yourself clearly prevents future explosions. Repressed tension never disappears completely. Every time you avoid speaking about something that bothers you, you feed resentments that may eventually turn into outbursts of anger or frustration. Small annoyances ignored today can turn into deep wounds tomorrow. What could have been resolved with an honest and calm conversation might, if left unaddressed, lead to disproportionate arguments and emotional detachment. Being honest about what you feel at the right moment and with the right words does not create conflict, it prevents it. Clear communication does not create distance. It fosters closeness by strengthening trust between both partners. Fourth lesson: learning to listen is just as essential as knowing how to speak. The fear of conflict often arises from uncertainty about how the conversation will unfold. You fear that the other person will not understand you, will react aggressively, or that the situation will spiral out of control. However, facing a conflict does not mean just expressing your perspective. It also requires a willingness to listen. Many arguments remain unresolved because both people focus on responding rather than understanding. When you learn to listen without reacting impulsively, the discussion ceases to be a threat and becomes an opportunity for connection. Listening with empathy allows the other person to feel heard, making it much more likely that they will be willing to listen to you as well. Fifth lesson: conflicts are a test of maturity, not a sign of failure. Many people view conflict as a sign that something is wrong in the relationship, but in reality, the way you handle it reveals the level of emotional maturity both you and your partner have. Avoiding challenges does not strengthen a relationship. Facing them with respect does. No meaningful relationship is built without difficulties, and the way you resolve disagreements determines the depth of the bond you are creating. A relationship does not need to be perfect to be healthy, but it must be sustained by the willingness of both partners to grow together. Now, allow me to share a parable that perfectly illustrates what I mean. The parable of the river and the mountain. A river flowed freely through the valley, shaping the land as it passed. On its journey, it encountered a massive mountain that blocked its path. The river tried to avoid the obstacle, slowly changing its course. But the more it tried to escape, the weaker it became, losing its strength in scattered little streams. The mountain, firm and unshaken, remained in place, indifferent to the river's attempts to avoid its presence. Tired of resisting the inevitable, the river finally decided to face the mountain and found a new way forward. Instead of retreating, it began carving through the rock with patience and persistence. Over time, small cracks became pathways, and what once seemed like an insurmountable obstacle turned into a passage through which the river flowed even stronger. You are like this river. Every time you try to avoid a conflict, you are merely delaying a necessary confrontation. But avoidance does not eliminate the obstacle. It only makes it harder to overcome. When you face challenges with maturity and a willingness to resolve them, you realize that conflicts are not definitive barriers, but opportunities for growth and strengthening. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the biggest challenge that keeps you from facing conflicts in your relationships? Comment below and share your experience. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of growth and learning. May your courage be greater than your fear, and may every challenge be an opportunity for evolution.